Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes? Carl Jung. What if your dreams weren't random? What if they weren't symbols of hope or messages from some higher self, but messages from the parts of you that you've been avoiding, suppressing, or pretending do not exist? Most people think dreams are either meaningless or slightly magical, a reflection of your day, your feelings, or maybe even a glimpse of the future. But Carl Jung didn't see dreams that way. He believed dreams are not always there to heal or inspire you. Some are there to destroy the lies you've built around yourself. Some are brutal because truth can be brutal, especially the truth you've buried for years. Jung's darker theory of dreams challenges the comforting idea that our unconscious only wants to help us feel better. Instead, he saw the unconscious as a raw, ancient part of the mind that is often more honest than our waking selves. And when the ego, that carefully managed version of who we think we are, gets too inflated, too fake, too disconnected, the unconscious pushes back. It sends dreams like a warning, or worse, like a reckoning. This isn't about dream interpretation through charts and symbols. It's about what happens when the real you comes knocking in the middle of the night, and you're not ready to face it. This is the side of dreams most people avoid, and that's exactly why it matters. Welcome to the part of Jung they never taught you. Number 1. Most of us like to believe that dreams are helpful messages or puzzles waiting to be solved. Something soft and spiritual, a little mysterious, maybe even inspiring. But Carl Jung had a much darker view. He believed that dreams don't always come to guide or comfort you. Sometimes they come to confront you, to show you the exact thing you've been running from. And when you keep avoiding that truth, it grows. It rots. It starts to twist into something bigger and uglier than it was. And one night, it shows up in your dream. Think of it like this. Say you've spent years pretending you're a kind, generous person. Everyone thinks you're patient, selfless, forgiving. But deep down, you know that's not the whole story. Maybe you're holding on to a lot of resentment. Maybe you're angry at how much you give and how little you get back. But you push it down. You don't say it out loud. You don't even admit it to yourself. Then, one night, you dream of a version of you screaming, destroying things, lashing out at everyone. You wake up shaken. You don't want to believe that's you, but that dream is the part of you that's been ignored for too long. And now, it wants to be seen. Jung believed the ego protects us from these things. It builds a version of who we think we are, and it fights hard to keep that version intact. But dreams don't care about that version. They care about what's real. They will pull you into the basement of your mind and make you look at what's been locked up there. The jealousy, the insecurity, the cruelty. Not to punish you, but because healing doesn't happen by pretending you're someone you're not. It happens when you finally look at the truth, even if it terrifies you. That's why some dreams feel violent or shameful or emotionally overwhelming, because they are psychological interventions. They tear the curtain down. They make you face the parts of yourself that you've buried. And if you keep refusing, they'll keep coming back, louder each time. Jung didn't promise comfort, he promised truth. And sometimes, the truth is the scariest thing your mind can show you, but it's also where real transformation begins. Number 2. Have you ever had a dream where someone was following you, watching you, maybe even threatening you? But somehow, deep down, you knew it was you? Not the version of you people see every day, but something darker, something unsettling. According to Carl Jung, that figure isn't just random or symbolic. It's real in a psychological sense. It's what he called the shadow, a part of you that holds all the things you don't want to admit exist inside you. And here's the disturbing part. That shadow doesn't wear a mask, it wears your face. We like to think of ourselves as good people. We show kindness, we avoid conflict, we try to do what's right. But Jung believed that underneath all that is a storage room of everything we've disowned. Rage, envy, selfishness, lust, cruelty, all the traits you would be embarrassed to show in public, all the thoughts you immediately shut down when they creep in. You don't erase them, you just bury them, and they become the shadow. Now here's where it gets interesting. That shadow doesn't stay silent. It shows up in your dreams, not to scare you for fun, but to get your attention. Let's say you dream about a version of yourself who is manipulative, aggressive, or even violent. You wake up horrified, thinking, "That's not me." But that's exactly the point. It is you, just not the version you've chosen to accept. Think of someone who constantly plays the peacemaker, always calm, always agreeable. But then, one night, they dream they're screaming at someone, out of control, saying things they'd never say in real life. That's the shadow breaking through. That's the repressed anger demanding to be acknowledged. Jung didn't say this to shame anyone. He believed that real strength comes from facing your shadow, not pretending it doesn't exist. The shadow only becomes dangerous when ignored, but if you face it, learn from it, even make peace with it, it becomes a source of insight and power. The scariest person in your dream might not be a stranger. It might be a mirror. And when that mirror shows you something ugly, it's not trying to ruin you, it's trying to complete you. Number 3. Most people think recurring dreams are messages from the unconscious, trying to help us heal some old wound or work through past trauma. That sounds comforting. It makes the dream feel like a guide. But Carl Jung had a more unsettling idea. He believed that recurring dreams might not always be attempts to help or heal. They could be a sign that something inside you has stopped trying. The dream has become a loop. Not because it wants to be, but because you refused to listen for so long that the unconscious gave up trying to speak a new language. Imagine this. You keep having a dream where you're lost in a building, walking down the same hallway, opening the same door, only to end up right back where you started. No matter what you do, you can't escape it. At first, it might represent confusion or a feeling of being trapped in your waking life. But years later, if that dream is still repeating unchanged, Jung would say, you are not just confused anymore. You are stuck. That dream is not showing you a problem. It is the problem. You are now living in a psychological loop. This happens when someone refuses to integrate a part of themselves. Maybe they deny their fear, their guilt, or their need for change. Maybe they keep pretending everything is fine when something inside knows it's not. The unconscious tries to communicate. It sends symbols, emotions, characters, warnings. But if the conscious mind keeps pushing it aside, the unconscious eventually stops evolving the message. It just hits repeat. At that point, the dream is no longer a dialogue. It's a recording, a stuck track playing the same note again and again, not because it wants to, but because you have refused to change the pattern. This is what makes recurring dreams dangerous. They trick you into thinking you're still processing something, but in truth, you're frozen. And no amount of dream journaling or analysis will move it forward unless you're willing to face what you've been ignoring. Jung wasn't interested in comfort. He wanted growth. And growth only happens when you break the loop, not by decoding it, but by changing your life in the places your dream is trying to show you. Number 4. Most people have had that dream. The one where you're falling or someone is chasing you. You wake up sweaty, heart racing, trying to shake off the fear. Naturally, we assume these dreams are about anxiety or stress. But Jung had a deeper and more disturbing view. He believed that these dreams might not be warnings at all. They might be indictments. They're not saying something bad might happen. They're saying something already has. You are not about to fall. You are already falling. And your psyche knows it, even if you don't. Think about the falling dream. You're in free fall. You can't grab onto anything. There's no control. Most people assume this is about fear of failure. But Jung would ask, what have you let go of? What principle, value, or truth have you quietly abandoned? Maybe you compromised on something important. Maybe you betrayed your own beliefs to fit in, to be accepted, to get ahead. On the surface, everything seems fine. But your dream says otherwise. That falling sensation, that is your soul registering the drop. Now take the chasing dream. You're being hunted. You run, but never escape. You don't see the face, but you know it is coming. Most people interpret it as fear of something external, pressure at work, a looming deadline, a person they're avoiding. But what if the thing chasing you is not something outside of you, but something within you? A truth you have avoided. A responsibility you have denied. A decision you know you should have made, but didn't. That dream is not asking you to run faster. It is asking why you keep running at all. Jung saw these dreams as the unconscious refusing to play along with your self-image. If you are falling morally, ethically, or spiritually, your unconscious cannot ignore it. It will respond. It will show you through dreams that you are slipping away from yourself. These are not just emotional reactions, they are judgments. What makes this so powerful and so uncomfortable is that the dream doesn't lie. It will not sugarcoat what the waking mind is trying to ignore. If you're falling, the dream will let you fall. If you're being chased, the dream will keep chasing you until you stop running and turn around to face what's there, because that's where real change begins. Number 5. We are often told that dreams are meant to heal us, guide us, help us work through emotions. But Carl Jung had a more uncomfortable idea. He believed that some dreams are not here to comfort or soothe you. They are here to destroy something. Not your mind, but the false version of yourself you've been clinging to. That polished image you present to the world, the one that looks calm, collected, kind, or in control, might not be real. And if it isn't, your unconscious will eventually come for it. Through dreams. Think of the unconscious as a truth teller. It does not care about your reputation. It does not care what people think of you. It cares about wholeness. And if you've built your identity on lies, or on denial, or on avoiding uncomfortable truths, it will send in the wrecking crew. In Jung's view, some dreams function like psychological demolition teams. They come not to build, but to tear something down, brutally, honestly, without asking for permission. Let's say you think of yourself as someone who always has it together. You're the one people rely on. You hold everything down. But one night, you dream you are in complete chaos. Maybe your house is burning down. Maybe you're screaming in public. Maybe no one is listening to you. That dream is not random. It is showing you what you've been hiding. You are not always strong. You are not always in control, and pretending that you are has become dangerous to your mental health. Or take someone who believes they're a good person, honest, moral, respectable. Then they dream they've committed a crime or betrayed someone they love. The immediate reaction is shame or confusion. But Jung would say, look closer. That dream is exposing a crack in the image. Maybe it's a hidden resentment, a selfish impulse, an unresolved grudge. The dream is not accusing you, it is freeing you from the burden of pretending. This kind of dream doesn't feel good, it feels harsh. But that's the point. It's not there to validate who you think you are. It is there to strip away what is false, so something real can grow. And real change does not begin with a hug. Sometimes it begins with a collapse. Only then can something honest rise from the ruins. Number 6. Most people think nightmares are a sign that something is wrong. Maybe it is stress, anxiety, trauma, or even a mental health issue. We try to treat them like a symptom that needs fixing. But Carl Jung had a much more powerful and unsettling idea. He believed nightmares are not always about fear in the usual sense. Sometimes they are the sound of your ego coming face to face with something much bigger, something ancient, something buried deep in the human mind. That terror you feel is not just fear. It is the cracking of your identity. Your ego is the version of you that you show to the world. It is who you believe you are. But according to Jung, that version is tiny compared to the full reality of your psyche. Beneath it lives something much older and more powerful, the archetypes. These are universal forces that exist in all people. The shadow, the trickster, the mother, the hero, the destroyer. They are not just stories. They live in your mind whether you know it or not. Now imagine that your ego has spent years avoiding one of these forces. Maybe it has denied your anger, your ambition, your desire to rebel. Maybe it has suppressed the part of you that feels rage or shame or power. Then, one night, that repressed force breaks through. Not gently, not politely. It shows up in a nightmare, a monster, a flood, a fire, a death. The ego panics. It does not know what to do with it. That panic is the dream. Jung believed that what we call a nightmare might actually be the most honest moment in your inner life. It is the moment when your carefully controlled identity gets confronted by what it has tried to silence. The dream is not trying to hurt you. It is trying to show you what you truly carry inside. Think of someone who is always calm and composed, never gets angry, always avoids conflict. Then they dream of violence, blood, fire, screaming. They wake up disturbed. But that nightmare is not a disorder. It is a confrontation. That is the moment the ego meets the truth. And that meeting is not pretty, but it is necessary. Because what you refuse to face will rule you in the dark. What you bring to light can finally be understood. Number 7. We love the idea that dreams are romantic, mystical journeys through the soul. So when someone shows up in a dream, mysterious, beautiful, magnetic, it's easy to think this must be my soulmate. Carl Jung would stop you right there. He believed that what you're seeing is not your ideal lover. It is your anima or animus, and its purpose is not to seduce you. It is there to expose you. The anima is the feminine aspect within the psyche of a man. The animus is the masculine aspect within a woman. Jung saw these not as personalities, but as psychic forces. When they show up in dreams, they're not bringing love. They're holding up a mirror, a very uncomfortable mirror. Let's say a man dreams of a mysterious woman. She's enchanting, almost otherworldly, but the dream turns strange. She becomes cruel, or distant, or overpowering. That's not just a symbol of a relationship. That is the man's distorted relationship with his own inner feminine energy. Maybe he idealizes women to avoid emotional depth. Maybe he fears vulnerability. Maybe he suppresses softness or creativity. The anima in the dream exposes the imbalance, often in disturbing or exaggerated ways. Now take a woman who dreams of a powerful male figure. At first he seems protective or charismatic, but then he becomes controlling, violent, or cold. That's not about an ex-boyfriend. That's the animus revealing how her inner masculine traits, assertiveness, logic, strength, have either been overpowered or neglected. The dream is not romantic. It's a trial. Jung warned that when the anima or animus appears in a dream, it is rarely about attraction. It is confrontation. These figures are not there to complete you. They are there to show how incomplete you already are. If your inner energies are in harmony, these dream figures may offer insight or growth. But if they are twisted, repressed, or exaggerated, the dream can feel haunting or confusing. That is not a failure. That is a message. You have work to do. The anima and animus don't arrive to make you feel loved. They arrive to show you where you've gone wrong, where you've denied parts of yourself for too long. And until you bring those parts into balance, your dreams will keep reminding you, not with comfort, but with truth. Number 8. We like to think of dreams as helpful, maybe even wise, something deep inside us working to heal, reveal, or protect. But Carl Jung warned that not all dreams are kind. Some are brutal, not because your mind is broken, but because your ego has gone too far. Jung believed the psyche wants balance, and when the ego grows too inflated, too proud, too self-righteous, the unconscious pushes back, not with gentle reminders, but with full-blown nightmares. Dark, surreal, terrifying imagery meant to humble you. That is not dysfunction. That is retribution. The ego is the version of yourself that believes it's in control. It tells the story of who you are. Smart, good, successful, right. But the unconscious sees the parts the ego ignores. The arrogance, the denial, the selfishness, the lies we tell ourselves. When the ego becomes too big or too blind, the unconscious doesn't just whisper, it strikes. Let's say you see yourself as morally superior. Maybe you pride yourself on being kind, forgiving, above the drama. Then suddenly you start having dreams where you're violent, petty, manipulative. You wake up disturbed, even disgusted. That's not a glitch in your system. That's your psyche showing you what your ego refuses to admit. That buried in your unconscious are all the traits you claim to be above. Or maybe you believe you're invincible, on top of the world, winning in every way. Then the dream shows you falling or drowning, or being humiliated in front of everyone you know. You wake up rattled, wondering where it came from. Jung would say it came from the part of your psyche that is trying to balance your inflated ego. It is trying to stop you from flying too close to the sun. These dreams are not punishments in a moral sense. They are corrections. The unconscious is not cruel. It is just serious about truth. When your ego drifts too far from reality, the unconscious brings it back, sometimes forcefully. This is why some of the most terrifying dreams come not when we're falling apart, but when we're too sure of ourselves. The more inflated the ego, the more dramatic the collapse. And the dream becomes the first crack in the surface. That's not a sign you're broken. That's a sign you're being pulled back to what's real. Number 9. Most people want to believe their dreams mean something positive, a message from the soul, a creative insight, maybe a sign of hope or growth. But Carl Jung had a more honest and far less comforting take. He believed you don't always dream what you want. You dream what your psyche knows you need to face. And what you need to face is often the part of yourself you've been avoiding, denying, or lying about for years, sometimes your entire life. Dreams are not there to flatter you. They're not fan mail from the unconscious. They are psychological mirrors, and they reflect back exactly what you've worked hard to hide, not from others, but from yourself. Let's say you think of yourself as selfless. You give to everyone. You're always there for people. But night after night you dream of being selfish, taking too much, ignoring others. It bothers you. It goes against everything you believe about who you are. But that's exactly why the dream keeps coming. Your psyche is showing you the truth you won't admit. Maybe your selflessness is coming from guilt. Maybe you resent the people you help. Maybe part of you wants to stop being the one who always sacrifices, but your ego won't let you admit it. Or maybe you think you've moved on from a breakup. You've healed, grown, let go. But then your ex shows up in your dreams again and again, not in a romantic way, but in painful, chaotic situations. That's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that part of you still has something to process, something unfinished that your conscious mind has labeled done. Jung believed the unconscious isn't interested in surface-level peace. It wants depth. It wants wholeness. That means forcing you to face every contradiction inside you, every lie you've told yourself, every truth you've been too proud, too afraid, or too tired to admit. Your dreams are not tailored to your ego. They are created by the part of you that is sick of pretending, the part that wants the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. So when you wake up disturbed, confused, or shaken by a dream, it doesn't mean something is wrong. It might mean something is finally trying to come right. Number 10. We like to believe we are unique, that our dreams, fears, passions, and inner struggles are one of a kind. But Jung's theory hits that belief right at its core. He argued that the dream world is not created by your personal experiences alone. It's shaped by ancient forces, archetypes, that have existed in every human psyche across every culture, century, and civilization. These are the same patterns that appear in myths, religions, and folklore. The wise old man, the trickster, the innocent child, the devouring mother, the hero, the shadow. And here's the uncomfortable part. If your dreams are filled with these symbols, then your mind is playing out stories that were written long before you were born. In other words, you are not as original as you think. When you dream of love, of being chosen or rejected, of fighting or falling, those feelings may feel deeply personal. But they are recycled emotional blueprints. You are reenacting stories that have been lived by millions of others before you, all filtered through the lens of your specific life. Your heartbreak, your ambition, your rage, your shame, they are not new. They are universal, scripted by forces older than you, deeper than language. Let's say you dream of being on a quest. You're searching for something, being tested, facing dangers, meeting strange figures who either help or betray you. That is not your mind being creative. That is the ancient hero's journey playing out again, using your life's symbols to fill in the blanks. Or maybe you dream of someone stealing your voice, or controlling your every move. That could be the archetype of the tyrant, or the helpless child. You think it's about your job or your relationship, but it is actually something more primal, something woven into the fabric of the collective human mind. Jung called this the collective unconscious, a shared psychic inheritance, which means your dreams are not private movies made by your brain. They are echoes. They are ancient stories playing through you. This isn't meant to diminish you. It is meant to wake you up. Because the more you recognize these patterns, the more aware you become of what's actually driving your choices, your relationships, and even your pain. You might not be as original as you think, but you can become more conscious than most ever dare to be. Number 11. We like to imagine the unconscious as some quiet, mystical place filled with hidden wisdom and spiritual insight, a peaceful garden at the back of the mind where truth gently waits to be discovered. But Carl Jung had a very different view, one that's rarely talked about because it's not comforting. He warned that the unconscious isn't just deep, it's dangerous, it's not just wisdom, it's also chaos. Beneath the surface of your waking mind lies a wild psychological wilderness, filled with primitive urges, ancestral memories, forgotten instincts, and parts of you that never learned how to speak in words. And it is far more powerful than the little voice in your head that you call you. Your conscious mind can only focus on one thing at a time. It runs your daily decisions, your schedule, your social mask. But the unconscious is vast. It's always running in the background. It holds every memory you've forgotten, every emotional pattern you inherited without knowing it, and every suppressed instinct your polite self has tried to shut down. Jung described it as a living system, not just a storage space, but a force that moves, reacts, and pushes. If the conscious mind wants order, the unconscious wants wholeness, and to get that, it sometimes sends up things the conscious mind can't control, dreams that shake you, urges that confuse you, emotions that don't make sense. This is not a glitch. This is the rest of you fighting to be seen. Imagine a person who prides themselves on being calm and rational, but out of nowhere, they explode with rage they don't understand. Or they make a life-altering decision that surprises even them. That's not just stress or a bad mood. That can be the unconscious finally forcing its way to the surface, refusing to be ignored. And dreams are one of its tools. A dream might feel symbolic, but sometimes it's raw, animalistic, violent. Jung didn't see this as negative, he saw it as honest, because underneath your manners and achievements is still a human being with instincts, fears, and impulses shaped by thousands of years of survival and trauma. You're not just a person with a past, you're a person carrying the past of the entire human race, and your unconscious remembers every part of it. Number 12. We live in a time where people are obsessed with decoding dreams. Books, apps, endless online guides claim to tell you what each symbol means. Snake equals fear. Water equals emotion. Flying means freedom. It's neat, it's easy, but it's wrong, at least according to Carl Jung. He warned that dream symbols are not fixed. They are alive. They shift, change, and evolve depending on your emotional state, your life experiences, and your unconscious needs in that moment. A snake might mean transformation one night, temptation the next, and pure evil a week later. There is no dream dictionary that can tell you the truth, because there is no one-size-fits-all meaning. There is only context. That's what makes dreams powerful but also dangerous to misread. If you rely on ready-made interpretations, you're no longer engaging with your psyche. You're just following a script. Jung believed that every symbol must be explored in relation to you. Not what it meant in a myth, or what it meant to someone else, but what it meant to your mind at that moment. That's the only way the unconscious can truly speak. Now enter lucid dreaming. The idea that you can control your dreams, shape them, become the director instead of the viewer. It sounds empowering, it sounds modern. But Jung would have had serious concerns. If you are constantly controlling your dreams, you are no longer in a relationship with your unconscious. You're overriding it. The ego has walked into the sacred space of the psyche and decided it knows better. Jung believed the unconscious speaks in images because it has its own language. A language the ego doesn't fully understand. When you control your dreams too much, you're not receiving anything. You're dictating the terms. And that means the unconscious can no longer do its work. The dream becomes less of a dialogue and more of a performance. Of course, there's value in awareness. But Jung's warning was simple. Too much control in the dream world can actually be a sign of ego inflation. You're not becoming enlightened. You're just avoiding the parts of yourself you don't want to face. And those are the very parts that hold the key to growth. In dreams, surrender is often more powerful than control. Finally, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. But how do you even begin to become your true self when so much of you is hidden, buried, or denied? How do you face the parts of yourself that you've spent years trying not to see? This is the uncomfortable truth at the center of Jung's dark theory of dreams. They are not here to comfort you. They're not cute bedtime stories or secret symbols to decode like a spiritual puzzle. They're messages from the deepest part of your psyche, and often they don't whisper. They confront, they disrupt. They show you the version of yourself that your ego would rather erase. Jung believed that dreams serve a purpose far greater than making sense of your day. They reveal the cracks in your identity. They expose what you pretend not to know. They force you to look at your contradictions, your selfishness, your insecurities, your false humility, your hidden aggression, and sometimes they do it violently. Because truth, when it has been ignored for long enough, will not arrive gently. Maybe your dream keeps showing you falling. Maybe it keeps showing you someone chasing you. Maybe you see yourself as a stranger. These aren't signs of a broken mind. They are signs that something in you wants to wake up, and it is willing to disturb your peace to do it. The beauty of Jung's theory is not in the darkness itself, but in what the darkness can teach. If you have the courage to stop looking away, your dreams can do more than shake you. They can show you what has been waiting to be seen. They can bring up the truth that your waking self is too scared or too proud to admit. The unconscious doesn't care about your comfort, it cares about your wholeness. And sometimes, to find that, you have to look into the dream that scared you most and say, what are you trying to show me? Because the answers are not out there. They've always been in you, just hidden, waiting, watching, dreaming.